Okay.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first RAC meeting for House Bill 2046, ACA Reconnect Bill. And with a focus today, this rulemaking will be focused on Section 10 of the bill as it relates to external review. I'd like to start with doing introductions. I'm Lisa Emerson. I'm a senior health insurance policy analyst for the division. And I would like to welcome RAC members and division staff that are joining today, and also interested stakeholders. But what I'd like to do is begin with introductions of the RAC members. I think it will be just helpful if you could just your name, title, and your company or your business. And then we'll do a brief introductions of the division staff. And then for the sake of time, interested stakeholders, it would be wonderful if you could chat your information just so that we have a record. And then we will have the discussion will be between RAC members and division staff during the course of the agenda. However, there will be a point at the end for public comment and for other parties to make comment. So with that, let's go ahead and go down the line. How about we start with Bill with Samaritan, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, this is Bill Bushko with Samaritan Health Plan. Sorry for the delay there.
No problem, welcome. And then do we have Courtney Dresser with the Oregon Medical Association? Okay, we'll wait on Courtney and maybe move to Dave Nestler-Cass with MODA.
Hi, everybody. Dave Nestler-Cass, the Chief Compliance Officer and Regulatory Director for MODA Health Plan and Delta Dental of Oregon.
Okay, thank you. And I will now go to Rick Blackwell.
Hello, everyone. Rick Blackwell, Government Relations Director for Oregon, Pacific Source.
Welcome. And we're just doing introductions. Courtney, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Courtney Dresser with the Oregon Medical Association.
Thanks for being here. And then Mary Beth with Osberg.
Yes, Mary Beth Garino, Healthcare Advocate with Osberg.
Thanks for joining us. And do we have Jen Baker with Providence? Or Vince Porter with Cambia? Okay, well, we can circle back there if they end up being able to join us today. The folks with the division, I've already introduced myself, but for those that missed it, I'm Lisa Emerson. I'm a senior health insurance policy analyst with the division. And I'd like to have the division staff on the meeting today to have them a chance to introduce themselves. Why don't we start with Rhett?
Hi, everyone. I'm Rhett Boyer. I'm with the Division of Financial Regulation as a compliance coordinator.
And then how about Karen Winkle?
Hi, I'm Karen Winkle, and I'm the rules coordinator. I work in the policy unit supporting the policy analysts in rulemaking.
Thank you. And Colette?
Hi, I'm Colette Hittner. I'm the lead market analyst for the compliance section here at DFR.
Okay, and then Tasha, are you able to join?
Hi, my name is Tasha Sizemore. I'm the Life and Health Program Manager for the division.
Thank you. And Tricia?
Hi, I'm Tricia Goldsmith, and I'm the manager of the Consumer Advocacy and Outreach Unit.
Thank you. Did I miss anyone? Okay.
Hi, Jennifer Baker from Providence is here.
Thanks for joining, Jen. So Yeah, I've had a number of the division staff here to support me. I just returned to DFR from another role in the last couple of months, and so I really do appreciate having subject matter experts able to join me as well. So without further ado, let's start with the agenda. First item we were going to start with is some background about this bill and this rulemaking. The bill, again, I had stated it's an ACA Reconnect Bill. It is, we're going to focus on a certain section, Section 10 at this time, and we may open the bill up for further rulemaking down the line, but the focus today is going to be very narrow for this rulemaking. And I'm just trying to get my other reference. Okay. So basically, the ACA Reconnect Bill makes technical changes to a variety of the health insurance statutes to align with federal law and will enhance consumer notices and improve the administration of the insurance code. So there are aspects to this bill that go into specifying requirements for short-term health policy notices and defining what a short health term policy is. It lengthens the grace period for minimum payment of an individual health benefit plan. It authorizes DCBS to access, use, and disclose data from the All Payer All Claims reporting system for use in carrying out our duties. It aligns the grievance procedure and adverse benefit determination notification requirements with the ACA. And finally, what we're going to focus on in this rulemaking process is it clarifies statutory provisions related to the disclosure of protected health information to an independent review organization. Okay, there we go. Get my screens. And so if you could put the bill up, Karen.
Okay.
Page 11, section 10, so we can look at the specifics there. Just for those who may not have it in front of them, even though we did send it out, we just thought we'd put that up so you can see very clearly the paragraph that is being removed and how that then in turn affects the need for us to do rulemaking. So what the reason for this is basically removing this, the state's law relating to the HIPAA waiver, because it has come into, through the process of external review, we're finding that it's created conflicts with the federal law and rule, and it's quite unnecessary because it has in many cases caused external review requests to be canceled, if you will, unnecessarily over, technicalities. So clearly here, this paragraph's being removed. It doesn't remove the requirement for a HIPAA release to be obtained from an enrollee by an insurance company. The companies need to still follow the HIPAA rules and regulations under federal law. So this is just removing the state clause here, if you will. And how that translates is to our rules. And now if you want to put up the discussion draft rule. So there's only one rule impacted here with respect to the external review process, and it has to do with this OAR listed here, and it's removing 6D, and it will just kind of make the process more efficient, but it doesn't eliminate the need for insurers to still obtain an enrollee's release to release personal and medical information to the independent review organization. It's just clarifying that process. Does anybody have any questions about that so far? We'll start with Dave.
Oh, thanks, Lisa. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, so my expectation with this change was, I think consistent with what you described at the state law level, that this would remove that, what had been this sort of specific requirement to obtain a release, an authorization to release information from the member when the member has requested external review. And to your point, I was supportive of that change because of the fact that we too had seen it basically slow down or stop some external review requests that clearly needed to move forward. It was really in the member's best interest to move forward. So all that makes sense to me. I wanted to clarify. So first, just want to point out Section 9 of the bill adds some language in that requires the insurer to inform the enrollee that they may be required to authorize the release of medical records to the external review. And I just wanted to kind of point that out and kind of emphasize. So from our perspective, what we had found is there's some nuance and room for interpretation in federal HIPAA as to whether that release is actually required. Our perspective, I'll share, is that, so I know that I think some insurers think it is, and so they'll continue to require it. Our perspective is that we're really in a sufficient place with the fact that the member has explicitly requested external review, that we felt that an additional sort of separate authorization was not necessary. So I just wanted to clarify that piece. I think it's more of an issue with how an insurer, covered entity interprets and complies with federal HIPAA law. But I just wanted to share that was kind of my perspective, that with this change, we had flexibility on the insurer side to interpret and apply a HIPAA law in this case. So anyway, that's my comment. Thanks for letting me share that.
Thank you, Dave, for sharing that. And that's my understanding as well. Thank you for making that comment. Jen.
Thanks, Lisa. So Providence does believe that federal HIPAA law applies and that we do need to require that release form to be signed by the member before we transfer any medical personal health information onto an IRO. So we wanted to clarify that this law does not preclude us under state law to comply with those federal HIPAA laws, and that does require, in our legal interpretation, to have the members sign a release form. Can the DFR confirm that we are still permitted to follow federal HIPAA laws and under our interpretation require that release form to be signed?
Yes, we can confirm that, and it's just intended to not hold up the process of the request for external review, but it doesn't omit any legal obligation under HIPAA law, federal HIPAA law, depending on how your entities interpret that. That's my understanding. And we can provide clarification there as well.
That would be helpful. How will you provide that clarification? Are you going to modify the rule language, or?
The rule, maybe be able to point that out within the existing rules, because we didn't feel a need to amend any other sections of the rule related to this. So there's other parts. We feel like the law changed, the language in the law, as well as what we have in rule, should provide that clarification, but I can point out those paragraphs that we feel substantiates your concern.
Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have any questions about this proposed rule change?
I may as well jump in. I think this is just more confirmation. I didn't see anything about this particular, the ACA Reconnect, that needed to be meshed with the prior authorization bill, House Bill 2517. These are two separate topics, right? I just want to confirm that we don't need to do any implementation around the IRO timelines because of 2517.
I'm not aware of that, Rick, but thanks for bringing that up. And that'd be something I will need to take back and ask clarification with the policy team. But I don't believe so, but you could be flagging something that we're not aware of.
Just making sure. I mean, I agree with you. I looked and it didn't seem that that was the case. I just wanted to confirm, so.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. So we've moved through this rather quickly. And this is basically, you know, an administrative cleanup of the rule. And I just want to make sure that, you know, keeping it open for any further questions. There will be some other documentations that we need to finish up with regarding the statement of need and fiscal impact that I'll need your feedback on. And I think we can probably, do you think that we can move forward? Do we need another meeting, or can we do a lot of this through correspondence? I would like that feedback from the RAC. Courtney?
I do want to just go back to Rick's comment about 2517. If we could, if it'd be possible for DCPS to give us a clear answer that these two are not aligned or don't mesh or don't interconnect in any way. For those of us who've been working on 2517 for a long time, I just want to make clear that both DCPS is aware of both sides of this issue and that these are working together and not in some form or another hurt each other. I don't see that either, Rick, but it'd be nice if DCPS just said, yes, we all as staff looked at this and yes, we all agree that this is not connected.
Will do. And I would be happy to provide an opportunity to my colleagues in the division. If any of you can speak to it at the moment, feel free to, or if you think this, we can take this back, like I said, and we'll provide further clarification. But I do have staff subject matter experts on the meeting here today that I'd like to offer that opportunity. And if I don't hear anything, I will move on. All right. I think that we may at this point be able to give back some time, but by moving more quickly through the agenda. I'd like to open it up. Go ahead, Rick.
Sorry, so we'll get a chance to look at the fiscal impact statement just to see how removing this language what fiscal impact that might have.
Yes, I have that in draft form right now, making some slight changes, but definitely will want feedback from all of you that that are following this rulemaking, and yeah, I'll definitely be doing that. So I have asked, we're going to move into the public comment opportunity, but you'll see there listed that the next steps are that I'll do the follow-up items that I've promised, but also I'm asking for any written comments by next Tuesday, close of business. That can be directed to me and Karen Winkle. And we will hold another meeting on the 29th if needed. So please keep that reserved on your, as a hold on your calendars, so that we can have the opportunity to meet if we need to. I would now like to go ahead and open it up for any comments from interested stakeholders or other interested parties. And I don't know, Karen, if you've received any contact from anyone for this part.
No, I have not.
Okay. Let's see. Well, I think we moved fairly quickly through this. I appreciate your time, and I will work on my follow-up activities, and I'll be able to now give you some time back in your busy schedules, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Lisa.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.